morning, I'm Reverend Marygrace Sorensen, and welcome this morning to Unity Church of San Marcos virtually. When we meet in person, we usually begin our services with the daily word. And today's daily word is light. The affirmation is the light of truth dissolves all darkness. A bird's cheerful song interrupts the quiet of the night. The dark sky grows lighter and puffy clouds begin to glow with a beautiful shade of pink. Brilliant rays announce the sun's arrival, and the sun peeks over the horizon, flooding the new day with light. Light dissolves any darkness in my consciousness in a similar way. At a challenging time, my heart responds to the hopeful thought that this too shall pass. Hope grows into faith as my mind opens to divine wisdom that is always mine to claim. Guided by the dawning light of truth, I see the way forwards and follow it with confidence. As surely as each new day brings the sunrise, my faith assures me of the light of truth will dissolve any darkness of any obstacle I may face. And from John chapter 1 verse 5, the scripture for today is, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. The reason I share today's daily word with you is one line in it. Hope grows into faith as my mind opens to divine wisdom that is always mine to claim. Faith, when we allow hope to grow into faith, we allow that light to flood through and divine wisdom comes forth. Because faith springs forth from that hope. The word Lent comes from the Anglo-Saxon word Lenten, L-E-N-C-T-E-N, which means spring. And with faith, we can choose to spring forward into action with love. My message this morning is entitled Lent, Walking in Faith. So for many years, Unity has put out a booklet for Advent and Lent. And this is our Lent booklet for this year, Release and Renew 2022. Don't you just love that alliteration? Today's reading is from Reverend Bronte Colbert from Unity of Athens in Georgia. And it's entitled Walking in the Oneness of Faith. And Reverend Bronte tells us that within each one of us, there's a wellspring of faith readily available to our minds and hearts when we feel our oneness and our connection to God. She says, but at times, faith may seem unavailable, sporadic, and even dissipated in our lives. She says, when life feels difficult, when the world appears to be in disarray, sound familiar? Or our way forward is unclear, we might even think we're losing our faith. But faith is not fleeting or fickle. It resides within us no matter what is going on outside. Bronte goes on to tell us that love is a catalyst for faith. Grounding ourselves in loving kindness elevates us, and faith then blooms. By consciously weeding out those negative thoughts, she says, those negative thoughts, those negative words, those negative judgments, we draw more loving conditions into our life. And when we use and activate faith. Like turning on a light switch in the brain or in the heart, everything around us brightens up. And when we change the way we look at something and speak about life, we can see clearly through the glass. We are lifted when we have that hope, and then our faith grows. The disciple Peter represents faith. And not because his faith was constant, but because he walked his journey from doubt, fear, and uncertainty into the knowing of oneness. He's not represented in faith because he was faithful. It's because he grew into faith, just like we do. Peter walked the path from pessimism and faithlessness to optimism and faithfulness. Bronte says that we can raise our consciousness in faith by affirming, I walk in faith. Today I walk in faith. Will you join me in saying that 3 times? Today I walk in faith. Today I walk in faith. Today I walk in faith. When we begin to walk in faith, Bronte says, we do it by visualizing ourselves walking in faith. We hold it in our minds, one step at a time. We begin by releasing those thoughts of doubts, those thoughts of fear, and our initial desire to kind of struggle. We open our thoughts up to appreciation and love and confidence. And in our imaginations, which also resides right up here, imagination is right here and faith is right in the middle of our brain. In our imagination, as we stop to notice a small bud in a dusty field, it blooms into vibrant color before our eyes. We can see a tiny bud and realize the magnificent bluebonnet it's going to become very soon now, just a little bit longer. Then seemingly out of nowhere, a multitude of sprouts appear and grow and blossom. Can't wait. I have faith that those bluebonnets are coming. As we continue walking, a brown wren trills from a branch while we listen in loving appreciation, and dozens of birds suddenly fill the air with song. And our steps continue from our place of deep connectedness. We celebrate joy, love, our well-being, and those sacred connections with nature. We bask in that energy, Bronte says, and know that as we continue to demonstrate through faith, with every step, we encourage and uplift the next walker on our path. And when we walk in faith, no matter where we start, we will be blessed with a deep, resilient, spiritual understanding, and our loving kindness will shine forth from us, and we can lead the way, and we will experience from Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. According to Charles Fillmore in The Revealing Word, faith is the perceiving power of the mind linked to the power to shape substance. Faith is the power to do the seemingly impossible. Fillmore also says that faith is a magnetic power that draws unto us our heart's desire from the invisible spiritual substance. Faith is a deep inner knowing that which is sought is already ours for the taking. It's knowing within ourselves that it's already there, ours. And then he goes on to quote the same scripture that Bronte does from Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not yet seen. In the 12 Powers of Man, Charles Fillmore, the Unity's co-founder, also explains imagination. And he states that the imagination has the power to perceive an idea and form it into mental energy, thought, and concepts. So this at first sounds like faith, doesn't it? But because faith and imagination do similar things, but there's a distinction. Imagination shapes mental energy only and shapes that mental imagery into thought form, something that we can visualize. But imagination only creates that mental energy. It's faith that links to the sticky stuff of the universe and shapes substance into form. So imagination doesn't create the finished project. Faith creates the finished projects. And a work of faith has a much more definite and wider range than imagination does to me. Faith to me is knowing that when I visualize, I'm pulling together and clothing that imagined thing in my mind's eye and clothing it with the sticky stuff of the universe and bringing from non-form in to form, physical human form. Fillmore goes on to say in the revealing word that faith is the foundation of all we do. He talks about how Jesus spoke of a condition for the upliftment of people, calling it the kingdom of heaven. And when Jesus said the kingdom of heaven must be built on the foundation typified by Peter. And Peter means rock, who represents faith. So our Jesus, Christianity, our faith is our church of faith, our belief system is founded on that rock of faith. And in that rock of faith, we create the kingdom of heaven right here on earth. And Fillmore says that this is proof that faith is closely related to the enduring, firm, unyielding forms of substance in non-form, and that we have the power with our faith to bring it into form. Fillmore goes on to say that the development of our faith faculty is key to our spiritual development and realization. So we've got it right there. It's right in between our eyes, in the middle of our head, and in between the front of our head to the back of our head, right in the middle there. It's inside our brain, whereas imagination resides here in the third eye. It's different. Again, but they're right there. They work together, but they're right there. But faith is the one that we develop, and it creates the foundation for all of our spiritual depth and work. Again, in the 12 Powers of Man, Fillmore says that faith is more than mere belief, but it's the very substance of what is believed, and it works by love, accomplishing all things by the creative mind law. And it goes on. Back to Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Where there's an aspiration, a reaching towards a spiritual life, the faculty of faith ignites in consciousness. And when this happens, prayers of supplication become impotent. Please God, please God. They don't work. What works is affirmative prayer. When we activate our faith, affirmative prayer immediately expresses. It starts to work. We might not see it immediately, but it's gone to work immediately. And intellectual faith admits doubt and hope of fulfillment in the future, while spiritual faith includes unfailing assurance and immediate response. These two attitudes of faith are often observed by acting and reacting to each other. Peter started to walk on the water in faith, and then he started having doubts and started to sink. And Jesus, the I am consciousness, reaches out his hand and he lifts up, and the wind ceases, and there's no longer any doubt, and faith ability to rise above those negative consciousness. Martin Luther King Jr. said, faith is the first step, taking the first step even when we don't see the whole staircase. Even when we don't see the whole staircase, it's taking that first step. Faith is hope springing into action in Lent, springing into action to shape the sticky stuff of the universe from non-form into form. Before Peter met Jesus, he was called Simon. And Simon means hearing, which represents receptivity. And that is where the faith comes through. Peter gets his new name from Jesus as Peter. Thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, he says. And that when he changes his name from hearing or receptivity, he changes it to that unerring spiritual assurance of faith, moving from that path from doubt into firm assurance, not intellectually, but in our knowingness of our being. There is but one real faith. The avenue of expression determines the character and power of faith. Trust is a cheaper brand of faith. We can trust God, but trust is better than mistrust. But as a rule, people who merely trust God do not understand all of the law. If they had that understanding, they would affirm the presence and power of God at work until the very sticky substance comes into consciousness, into form. And this is the faith which is established on the rock of our belief system. The key to a great life is faith. We want to open new doors, and the location to the doors is the church. And it's not the four walls of the church, but what's inside of us, this vessel. We attend to church to experience faith. We log in here to do that. But we individually receive faith through our individual connection to God through prayer and meditation. And we gather together with the power of faith to build new things, to create wonderful worlds. And that collective consciousness works wonders. In the Bible, in Jesus' day, the word church was taken from a word that meant the called out ones. Don't you love that? We're called out. We're called out. Whether you're logging in for the first time or have been attending for years, we've been called out to this place where faith is our awareness within us of the reality of the invisible, non-form, sticky stuff. In today's world, we have all these cultures going on, but it's our soul culture, where that soul that was here before we took on a skin suit and will be here after we make our transitions out of our skin suit. Our soul is that which is eternal and is ours, and that journey of our soul, is it happy? Is it having faith? Is it building everything we have for God? A couple weeks ago, this sweet lost Shih Tzu was posted on Nextdoor. And someone had found him on Monday morning near the Oasis, which is a restaurant overlooking Lake Travis, which is about 4 miles from my house. And they said that if the owner was not located by Wednesday, that was Monday, Wednesday, they were going to turn him into a shelter. And my heart just broke apart. How could they possibly surrender this dog when the owner might be out of town, or the dog might have been running for days and they don't even know where he is. They might not be looking in this area on Nextdoor where he was posted. And I said I would volunteer to foster him. And so originally the woman who found him had 3 big Labrador retrievers and couldn't keep him because they were not getting along. And then she gave him to a friend who on the side has a dog grooming and dog sitting business. But she was very busy. Her people were busy with that. She actually worked as a nurse. But it wasn't working out with him there because she had paid clients and they couldn't manage it. And so they were going to surrender it on Wednesday. And I said I would do it, and I brought him into our home Tuesday before last. And I prayed. and I started visualizing this Shih Tzu being very happy. He was happy with us, but the Sophie, the dog that we rescued last July, was not happy. She has PTSD and is only 8 pounds, and this dog is 16 pounds, twice her size, and scared the living daylights out of her because he was an intact male. And I made an appointment at the vet on Friday to get him checked out because he was looking like he needed a mate really bad by his actions all over the house, which were scaring both of my senior female dogs. And they were okay with it, but I just knew I was fostering this dog. We would not keep it forever. Even though he was such a sweet, smart dog, he learned how to use the doggy door on his own. I opened it once for him, and I've trained lots of dogs how to use the doggy door. Usually it takes 2 to 3 days with treats to get them to go through, and I've seen it take up to 10 days. This dog, with not one treat, figured out how to use it. He's a smart dog. So I made this appointment at the vet, and I got an email from somebody. I posted him on Craigslist and Facebook and on lostpets.us because I thought he might be from further away. We still have not found the owners, but I heard from somebody and they thought they were the owner. Oh my God, it's my dog. And she sent me pictures of her with the dog, and to me it looked like it. The other 2 women didn't think it looked like it. So I said, meet me at the vet, because she was in Maynard. I'm going, how did it get from Maynard? They said it was stolen. He was stolen. Anyway, so we meet up at the vet, and my vet says, oh no, he just ran away to go find a mate. He's a very healthy, intact male. But he's not quite a year old, was what she was guessing. And this woman was saying he's about a year old. Anyway, she walks in and she looks at him. Oh, he's so sweet, but he's not our dog. So I'm going, oh, I thought with my faith I had created that wonderful reunion, and I was so happy. But then I got an email from a woman on Craigslist who said she wasn't the owner, but if we didn't find the owner, she would be willing to adopt the dog, give it a forever home, and if need be, surrender to the owners when they surface. I'm going, God, that's a great offer, because my dog was shaking still, and I needed to find a home for this sweet dog, whom we were calling Doodle, because we had owned a Shih Tzu briefly, a home we gave to my brother-in-law in California. But anyway, so we're sitting there, and you have to understand that this little dog had been in 3 homes in less than 36 hours when he came in. And I kept visualizing him in the happy, perfect home. Happy, perfect home. And I don't know if you know this about Shih Tzus, but Shih Tzus are bred to be companion dogs. They want somebody around them all the time. They want to ride with you in your car everywhere you go. They don't want to be left at home. And a puppy, he still's got a lot of puppy in him, chews on everything. If you left a new dog in your home by yourself and went to work and came home, he might have chewed up everything. So I was really hoping, if we were going to rehome him, to somebody that one of the 3 of us women knew personally. And so I told this woman, we're going to surrender him to Little Paul's if we can't find a home for him, because they'll neuter him, they'll microchip him, and they'll give him all his shots, and they'll vet out all these people, thoroughly vet somebody before they release it into a new home, and we don't have time to do that. Anyway, I had reached out to like 6 people at the church, in our home church here in Austin, to see if anybody knew somebody who was looking for a dog, and all these different venues. And I kept visualizing, and people, he put them on prayer lists, Silent Unity, write a perfect home for this dog. Anyway, I get this, you know how divine synchronicity works. This woman who contacted me and said she'd give him a home and surrender him if he's found, turns out to be a Unity person. She ends up calling me because she recognizes my name and found me through a link or something at somewhere, and got my name from somebody at church, my phone number, and called me, and we were talking about it, and she uses the same vet I do. So I said, okay, well, I'll let you meet him. And then I had 3 or 4 people whom she knew at church call me, who knew me, and give me great recommendations. In fact, one of them, she even trained her cat how to use the toilet inside the house. She's a great pet owner, I'm told, in all counts. Anyway, so she came over and she meets the dog. And this dog, he's a sweet dog. He goes ballistic. He is like all over, jumping up, licking her face. She teaches yoga. She sits down on the floor with him. And he's all up in her face and licking her like he's like he's home with his owner. It was amazing. And then she goes out she was talking to Lucille, my mother-in-law, and she wants to show her something on her phone. So she's going to go out to her car to get her phone. And this dog, whom she's now called Charlie, she adopted him, goes ballistic that she is leaving, who she just met. He just met her. He's going ballistic, barking at the top of his lungs because she's going to leave the house. So we put a leash on him. He goes outside. He's perfectly fine. She goes to the car. He hops into the car in the passenger seat. She gets her phone and tries to bring him out. He's barking his full head off. He will not leave the car. Okay, I am listening to the divine synchronicity here. He loves her, acts like he's her owner. She uses the same vet I do. She knows 6 to 7 people I know at church. She's a unity person, and this dog loves her and does not want to leave her. So we rehome him to her, and since then he has been back to our vet, and he has had all of the shots. He's been microchipped to her, and he's been neutered. And now and she's willing to give him up to the owners when and if they show up, who might not be happy that he was fixed and might not be happy that he was microchipped, but that can be easily transferred, and we would do that. But faith, pure and simple, that we would find the right and perfect home for him. Please join me in prayer as we allowing my words to become your words. Sweet divine spirit, Mother, Father, God, infinite presence, my trust, my human needs are always met. I have faith, God, as omnipresent help in my every need. I have faith in the ultimate resource, my connection with you. With faith, prayer, and meditation, I visualize and know my hope grows. I trust I'm enfolded in infinite abundance as always, as is this ministry. I have faith in every area of my life. Amen. Affirm with me one more time today. Today I walk in faith. Today I walk in faith. I trust that you have faith, and I trust that you've been blessed by this service. If you have been, please log into unitychurchofsanmarcos.org, Unity Church of San Marcos, all together, one word, lowercase, and scroll to the bottom of the page where you can donate online via PayPal or send a check to, and the address is there, to P.O. Box 1271, San Marcos, Texas 78667. Namaste. Have a wonderful week.